In the shadow of a rain-slicked city where ancient werewolf packs hide among oblivious humans, a single word shattered her world. Lily, huddled under a dingy diner table, bruises throbbing from her abusive beta's latest rage, she froze. Her heart slammed against her ribs. How could anyone know she was here? The voice cut through the clamor like a silver blade, deep and commanding, pulling at something primal inside her, a fated pull from Nordic legends of alphas claiming their true mates across impossible distances. She was just a virgin omega, taught to submit, to vanish into the pack's cruel hierarchy. But tonight, defiance flickered amid the terror, her mother's ancient pendant humming against her skin, whispering of Mesopotamian curses and hidden powers she never knew she carried. Then he appeared, Noah, the Alpha King, eyes blazing with protective fire. "You're safe now," he promised, his hand extended, masking his own fractured soul, haunted by suppressed beasts and lost family. But as their fingers touched, electric sparks ignited, a forbidden bond awakening dangers far deadlier than her abuser's fists. What if this savior was her doom? What secrets lurked in his gaze? She'd endured exile, beatings, and soul-crushing isolation, yet here she stood, unbroken, ready to rise from ashes into a storm of passion and betrayal that could shatter empires. Hey there, my incredible pack of werewolf romance enthusiasts. If you're diving into this story with me right now, you're in for an emotional roller coaster, where a timid omega finds her strength in the arms of a powerful alpha king. This tale is all about Lily, a virgin omega trapped in a world of pack hierarchies and hidden dangers, escaping her abusive beta only to be drawn into a fated connection that changes everything. I hope you're cozy under a full moon or curled up with your favorite blanket. Where are you watching from today? Maybe a bustling city like Lily's, or a quiet forest town. Drop a comment below and let me know how you're doing. Are you excited for this epic journey? If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Hit that button so you never miss these gripping narratives that keep our community howling for more. Your subscriptions fuel these tales, and I can't wait to see your thoughts. The air is thick with the scent of exhaust fumes and distant rain, a veil that hides the primal struggles beneath. Here, in a dingy diner tucked between neon-lit alleys, Lily huddles beneath a rickety table, her small frame pressed against the cold, sticky linoleum floor. Her heart pounds like war drums in her chest, each beat echoing the terror that's become her constant companion. As a virgin omega, the lowest in the pack's unforgiving hierarchy, she's learned to make herself invisible. But tonight, invisibility is her only shield against Dane, her brutal beta tormentor. The bruises on her arms throb with fresh agony, purple welts from his latest outburst just hours ago in their cramped apartment. She can still feel the sting of his fist connecting with her ribs, the way his eyes gleamed with that toxic mix of possession and rage. "You're nothing without me," he'd snarled, his breath hot and sour against her face. Lily had fled into the night, weaving through crowds of oblivious humans, her omega instinct screaming for escape. Now, the diner's clamor surrounds her, the clatter of plates, the sizzle of burgers on the grill, the low hum of conversations that mean nothing to her world of claws and moons. The smell of overbrewed coffee mingles with the metallic tang of her own fierce sweat, and she bites her lip to stifle a whimper. Why does it always end like this? Why can't she break free from the cycle that's left her scarred, both body and soul? Lily's mind races back to her childhood in the pack's outskirts, where omegas like her were taught submission from birth. "Know your place," her mother had whispered, eyes downcast, before vanishing into the night years ago, rumored to have been claimed by rogues. Lily's innocence, her untouched status, should have been a quiet strength, but in Dane's hands, it's a weapon he wields to control her. He's not just abusive, he's a beta with ambitions, whispering of underground networks and black market deals and shifter artifacts that promise power. But to Lily, he's a nightmare, his jealousy flaring at any sign of her independence. Tonight, she dared to defy him, refusing to hand over the small pendant her mother left her, a relic that hums with faint, ancient energy she doesn't understand. His response? A chase through the rain-slicked streets, leading her here, to this precarious hiding spot. Her breaths come in shallow gasps, the table's underside mere inches from her nose, dotted with gum and forgotten crumbs. The sensory overload assaults her, the vibration of footsteps on the floor, the sharp tang of spilled ketchup nearby, the flickering shadows from the diner's harsh fluorescent lights dancing across her vision. She's vulnerable here, exposed if anyone glances down. but it's better than facing Dane's wrath. Her Omega nature craves protection, a pack's warmth, but all she's known is isolation and pain. A tear slips down her cheek, hot and silent, as she wonders if this is her fate, to hide forever, a shadow in a world that devours the weak. But then, slicing through the din like a silver bullet, a voice resonates, deep, resonant, laced with an authority that vibrates in her bones. Lily. It's not shouted, yet it cuts clearer than any noise in the room. Her name, spoken with an intensity that pulls at something primal within her, like a thread unraveling her defenses. She freezes, every sense heightening, the hairs on her arms standing on end, a shiver racing down her spine. Who could know she's here? The voice belongs to no one she recognizes, yet it feels familiar, as if etched in her soul from ancient times. Whispers of pack lore flood her mind, tales from Nordic legends of alphas calling their fated mates across distances, or Mesopotamian myths of cursed bloodlines awakening under duress. Is this real? Or her fear playing tricks? The diner's sounds fade into a muffled roar as the voice calls again, closer now. Lily, come out. It's commanding, yet there's an undercurrent of urgency, almost desperation. Her heart stutters. Could this be the Alpha King Noah, the ruler of the most powerful pack in the city? Rumors swirl about him. A figure of mythic strength, blending modern savvy with ancient power, his rule unchallenged. But why her? An Omega like Lily doesn't cross paths with kings. She's fodder for betas like Dane. Yet the pull is undeniable, a magnetic force urging her to emerge, to face whatever waits. Her fingers tremble as they clutch the table leg, nails digging into wood. The air grows heavier, charged with anticipation, the scent of pine and storm, his scent, wafting subtly through the chaos. Panic wars with curiosity in her chest. If she stays hidden, Dane might find her first, his tracking skills honed from years in the pack's underbelly. But if she answers this call, what then? A life beyond abuse? Or a deeper trap, ensnaring her in pack politics she wants no part of? The question hangs like a full moon, demanding an answer. Lily's breath hitches as footsteps approach, deliberate and powerful, shaking the floor beneath her. The voice softens, almost tender. Lily, I know you're scared, but you're safe now. Safe. The word mocks her, yet ignites a spark of hope she's long buried. In that moment, vulnerability crashes over her like a wave. She's not just hiding from Dane, she's hiding from herself, from the Omega who dreams of more, of love that heals, of strength that rises from ashes. The diner's warmth contrasts the cold dread in her veins, and she tastes salt on her lips from bitten-back sobs. Sensory details sharpen. The rough texture of the floor against her palms, the distant ring of a cash register like a tolling bell. This could be her turning point, or her end. The mystery deepens. Who is this Alpha? And how does he know her name? What ancient force draws him here, to this forgotten corner? As her resolve wavers, the compelling revelation strikes. This isn't coincidence. Fate, whispered in pack folklore, has intervened, pulling her toward a destiny intertwined with power and passion. But will she step into the light, or let fear chain her forever? The question burns, urging continuation into a world of forbidden attraction and hidden truths. Lily's trembling hands pushed against the diner's grimy floor as she crawled out from under the table, her knees scraping against the cold tiles. The world tilted for a moment, the diner's lights blurring through her tear-streaked vision, but she locked eyes with him, Noah, the Alpha King. He stood like a storm embodied, tall and broad-shouldered, his dark hair tousled as if by wild winds, piercing blue eyes fixed on her with an intensity that made her Omega instincts quiver. The scent of pine and raw power enveloped her, drowning out the diner's greasy haze, and for the first time in years, she felt seen, not as prey, but as something precious. Noah's jaw tightened, a flicker of concern crossing his usually stoic features. As ruler of the city's most dominant pack, he was known for his unyielding command, blending ancient authority with modern cunning, overseeing territories that spanned hidden warehouses and upscale penthouses, where shifters conducted business away from human eyes. But beneath that facade lay a man haunted by his own beasts, centuries of suppressing primal urges to maintain peace in a volatile world. His deepest motivation? To find a true mate who could anchor him, heal the fractures from a past riddled with losses. His parents slain in pack wars inspired by Greek lycanthrope tales of cursed heroes. Yet he hid this vulnerability, projecting only strength, a secret depth that made him both protector and enigma. "Lily," he murmured again, his voice a low rumble that sent warmth pooling in her chest despite the fear. He extended a hand, calloused from battles yet gentle in its offer. "You're safe now. I won't let him touch you again." His words carried the weight of a promise, but they stirred her deepest fear. Trust. After years under Dane's thumb, how could she believe in safety? Dane, her abusive beta, was a stark contrast, sly and volatile, with a lean build and sharp features that twisted into cruelty when provoked. His personality was a venomous blend of charm and control, using his position in the pack's underbelly to traffic shifter artifacts on the black market, amassing power through exploitation. But hidden beneath his rage was a fractured soul, driven by jealousy and a buried agenda that even he barely acknowledged. Hints of a deeper connection to Noah that simmered like unspoken secrets. Lily hesitated, her body aching from old bruises, but she placed her hand in Noah's. The contact sparked an electric pull, a fated mate bond igniting like folklore flames, making her gasp. Her deepest desire surged to the surface, to be free, to embrace her suppressed passions without fear, to rise from Omega ashes as the legends whispered. Yet motivation clashed with terror. She'd seen what happened to those who defied hierarchy, Omegas like her mother who vanished after challenging Betas. Who are you to me?" she whispered, voice cracking, as he pulled her to her feet. The emotional stakes hit hard. Their worlds colliding meant defying pack rules, where Omegas submitted without question, and Alphas claimed without mercy. Noah's grip tightened protectively, his eyes scanning the diner for threats. "I'm the one who's been searching for you," he admitted, a hint of his secret vulnerability slipping through. His affliction, a psychological rift from repressing his beast, making him crave her innocence as a balm. But he held back, sensing her scars. Dane's shadow loomed in her mind. Their relationship was a toxic chain, him treating her like property, exploiting her vulnerability for his gains. "He thinks he owns me," Lily confessed, voice barely audible, revealing the stakes. If Dane found them, his jealousy would unleash hell, dragging her back into isolation. As they slipped out into the rain-slicked alley, Noah's arm around her waist felt like armor. But intrigue built. Why her, a timid virgin with no apparent power? Lily glanced at her pendant, humming faintly against her skin, hinting at hidden depths. Her latent Mesopotamian lineage, a secret bloodline that could awaken under duress. Noah sensed it too, his own secrets mirroring hers. A half-brother lost to trauma, buried in pack lore. Their connection deepened through this shared, unspoken intrigue, empathy blooming as she leaned into him, rain mingling with her tears. Supporting figures emerged in flashes. Pack members like Ethan, Noah's loyal beta advisor, gruff yet kind, whose personality balanced Noah's intensity with quiet wisdom, staking his loyalty on protecting the vulnerable. And Ava, Lily's distant friend from Omega circles, fiery and outspoken, who had urged her to flee Dane, her relationship with Lily one of sisterly bonds fraught with worry. These ties heightened the emotional web. Lily's escape wasn't just personal. It rippled through the pack, challenging hierarchies and unveiling secrets that could shatter alliances. By the time they reached Noah's hidden loft, overlooking the city's glittering lights, Lily's heart ached with connection. "I want to believe in this," she admitted, vulnerability raw as she traced a scar on her arm from Dane's grip. Noah's eyes softened, hinting at his own fears, of losing control, of failing as king. Their intrigue grew, a foundation of empathy forming amid the storm. The loft's door clicked shut behind them, sealing out the city's relentless downpour, but Lily's pulse still thundered like the storm outside. Noah's space was a blend of modern luxury and primal edge. Sleek leather couches under exposed brick walls adorned with ancient Nordic runes etched into metal plaques, their faint glow humming with otherworldly energy. The air carried his scent, pine mingled with leather, wrapping around her like a claim she both craved and feared. She stood there, dripping rainwater onto the polished hardwood, her thin shirt clinging to her skin, exposing the fresh bruises Dane had left. Noah's eyes darkened as he took them in, a low growl rumbling from his chest. Not at her, but at the invisible threat. "You're hurt," he said, voice rough with restrained fury. He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. 6 feet of coiled muscle in a fitted black shirt that hinted at the alpha power beneath. Lily flinched instinctively, her Omega reflexes kicking in, but he halted, hands raised in surrender. "I won't touch you without permission, but let me help." His words hung heavy, laced with an unexpected tenderness that pierced her defenses. This was the Alpha King, ruler of packs spanning the city's hidden underbelly. Yet here he was, offering care to a nobody like her. The romantic spark ignited unbidden. His gaze on her wasn't predatory, but protective, drawing her in like the fated mates of pack legends. Lily's breath caught as she met his eyes, feeling the pull deepen, a soul-deep attraction that made her knees weaken. But fear clawed at her. Pack rules demanded Omegas submit, and Alphas like Noah claimed what they wanted. "Why me?" she whispered, voice trembling. "I'm just an Omega. Dane's, his." The name tasted like bile, evoking flashes of his fists, his jeering control over her life. Noah's jaw clenched, a flicker of something darker crossing his face, his own hidden affliction, the psychological fracture from suppressing his beast, making him yearn for her innocence as an anchor. Before he could answer, the loft's window shattered in a spray of glass. Dane burst through, rain slicked and snarling, his beta form partially shifted, claws extended, eyes glowing amber with rage. "She's mine!" he roared, landing in a crouch, the scent of wet fur and malice flooding the room. Lily's heart seized in shock. How had he tracked her so fast? Dane's lean frame tensed, muscles rippling under torn clothes, his jealousy a living storm. This was the central threat exploding into reality, Dane. Not just her abuser, but a key player in the underground network trafficking shifter artifacts. His hidden agenda now aimed at reclaiming her and challenging Noah's rule. Noah shoved Lily behind him, his body shifting instinctively, fur bristling along his arms as he faced Dane. "Back off, Beta. She's under my protection now." The air crackled with alpha dominance, but Dane laughed, a bitter sound. "Protection? Or are you just stealing what's mine to fuel your ego, King?" He lunged, claws swiping, forcing Noah into a defensive block that shook the room. Lily backed against the wall, terror flooding her. Dane's stalking had escalated, his network's resources making him a relentless hunter. But amid the fear, determination surged. She couldn't hide anymore. In the chaos, Dane's eyes locked on Lily's pendant, glowing faintly now, as if awakened. "That relic. It's the key," he snarled, revealing the first twist. The pendant wasn't just a memento, but a forbidden artifact from Mesopotamian lore, tied to her latent bloodline, capable of amplifying powers during eclipses. Dane had abused her to keep it hidden, part of his plot to exploit vulnerable Omegas for profit in the black market. Shock hit Lily like a blow. Her abuse wasn't random. It was calculated, tying her to ancient curses and pack conspiracies. Torn, Lily faced a crucial decision: flee again, or stand with Noah. Attraction flared as she watched him fight for her, his movements fluid and fierce, igniting desires she'd suppressed. "Stop!" she cried, grabbing a nearby rune-etched dagger from the wall, a relic Noah collected. With trembling hands, she pointed it at Dane, determination overriding fear. "I'm not yours anymore." The words sealed it. She'd allied with Noah, launching into a vengeful path against Dane's network, their forbidden romance blooming in the violence. Dane retreated with a hateful glare, vanishing into the night. But the stakes soared, his threat now a pack-wide hunt, forcing Lily into Noah's world of danger and passion. Fear gripped her, but so did an intoxicating attraction, their gazes meeting in the aftermath. Breaths ragged, the loft's shattered window let in gusts of cold rain, mirroring the storm raging inside Lily as she clutched the rune-etched dagger, her hands still shaking from the confrontation. Noah stood before her, his partial shift receding, fur smoothing back to skin, but his eyes remained wild, locked on hers with a mix of relief and something deeper, desire, raw and unspoken. The air between them crackled, charged with the fated mate bond that had ignited during the fight, her Omega senses heightening every detail, the salty tang of his sweat, the warmth radiating from his body, the faint metallic scent of blood from a shallow claw mark on his arm. "You were brave," he said, voice husky, stepping closer without crowding her. His fingers brushed hers as he gently took the dagger, setting it aside, and in that touch, attraction bloomed like wildfire, pulling her toward him, despite the chaos. Lily's breath hitched, her body responding instinctively, heart racing, skin flushing under his gaze. For years, Dane's abuse had suppressed her desires, turning intimacy into fear. But with Noah, it felt different, natural, like the pack legends of mates awakening each other's souls. "I had to be," she whispered, vulnerability slipping through as she met his eyes. They moved to the couch, the loft's dim lamps casting soft shadows that danced across his chiseled features. As he bandaged his wound, their conversation flowed into meaningful territory, Noah sharing glimpses of his rule, the weight of protecting the pack from rogue threats like Dane's black market dealings. "I've lost too many to greed like his," he admitted, his voice softening, revealing a crack in his alpha armor, the psychological fracture from centuries of control, inspired by Greek myths of heroes cursed to battle their beasts. Their romantic subplot deepened in stolen moments. Noah's hand lingered on her arm, tracing a bruise with feather-light care. "Tell me about your scars," he urged, and Lily opened up, words tumbling out about Dane's control, how he'd isolated her, using her pendant as leverage in his artifact trades. The interaction built trust, frustration mounting as she confessed her suppressed passions, dreams of freedom under the full moon, unmarred by fear. Noah's attraction grew visible, his eyes darkening with want, but he held back, respecting her pace. "You're more than Omega," he murmured, leaning in, their lips inches apart, the tension electric. A chaste kiss followed, tender yet igniting primal instincts, her body arching toward him as hope flickered. Maybe healing was possible, but obstacles crashed in like waves. Dane's stalking intensified. The next night, as they ventured to a hidden pack safe house in the city's forested outskirts, shadowy figures trailed them, rogue betas from Dane's network, eyes glowing in the dark. Noah fought them off in a blur of claws and snarls, but one escaped, leaving a false clue. A forged note implying Noah's involvement in artifact thefts, planted to sow doubt. Lily found it clutched in a defeated rogue's hand, her mind spinning. Was Noah's protection genuine, or a ploy? The red herring tested their bond. Frustration boiled as she confronted him under the moonlit trees. "Is this true? Are you using me like he did?" Her voice cracked, internal conflict raging, desire clashing with fear of betrayal. Noah's denial was fierce, his hands cupping her face. "Never. I'd die before hurting you." Their argument deepened the connection, vulnerability exchanged as he revealed more. His search for a cure to his affliction, believing her innocence could stabilize him. But the obstacle persisted. Dane's network struck again, hacking pack communications, leaking false rumors of Lily as a traitor, isolating them from allies like Ethan, who grew wary. Adversity forced growth. Lily, once timid, trained with Noah in moonlit clearings, her body strengthening, senses sharpening as they shared stolen nights. Primal runs through the woods blended with emotional healing, whispers of ancient Nordic legends she'd glimpsed in forbidden online forums, tales of Omega Queens rising through blood oaths. "I feel something awakening," she confessed during one intimate embrace, bodies pressed close, his heartbeat syncing with hers in intoxicating rhythm. Tension escalated when Dane ambushed a supply run, his jealousy exploding in a warehouse skirmish. "You'll always be mine, Omega," he snarled, claws raking air as Noah shielded her. The fight left Lily bruised but resolute, hope surging amid frustration. She dismantled a crate of synthetic suppressants, Dane's black market poison meant for the pack. Yet red herrings multiplied. A forum post she uncovered hinted at Noah's tests on Omegas, planting seeds of doubt that blurred her growing attraction. Their romance teetered, passionate arguments leading to heated reconciliations, bodies entwining under the stars, balancing physical intimacy with emotional depth. Through it all, Lily grew, adversity forging her from victim to ally. While their bond deepened, tension coiling tighter, attraction undeniable, frustration yielding to hope that together they'd dismantle the threats. The full moon hung low over the city's shadowed outskirts, casting an ethereal silver glow on the abandoned warehouse where Lily and Noah had taken refuge after dismantling Dane's latest shipment of suppressants. The air was thick with the scent of rust and damp concrete, mingled with the earthy musk of their recent shift, bodies still humming from the primal run that had led them here. Lily leaned against a crumbling wall, her chest heaving, the pendant around her neck pulsing warmly against her skin like a second heartbeat. Noah paced nearby, his alpha form barely contained, muscles taut under his shirt, eyes scanning the darkness for threats. Their bond had deepened in these tense days, stolen kisses evolving into passionate nights where physical intimacy blurred with emotional rawness, his hands exploring her scars with reverence, her whispers revealing dreams of a life beyond submission. But tonight, under the moon's watchful eye, something shifted. Lily's senses sharpened unnaturally, colors vivid, sounds amplified, the distant howl of a rogue wolf echoing like thunder in her ears. She clutched her head, a vision slamming into her mind. flashes of ancient Mesopotamian sands. Epic tales from Gilgamesh's era, where cursed bloodlines turned virgins into seers during eclipses. Noah, she gasped, dropping to her knees, the warehouse spinning. He rushed to her side, strong arms enveloping her, his touch grounding yet igniting the psychic link that had been simmering since their first meeting. What's happening? His voice was laced with concern, vulnerability cracking his kingly facade as he held her close, their hearts sinking in a rhythm that felt both intimate and invasive. The revelation hit like a tidal wave, challenging everything Lily believed. She wasn't just an Omega. She was a latent descendant of that forgotten lineage, her virgin bloodline harboring a dormant curse that awakened now, amplifying her senses into seer abilities. Visions flooded her. Dane, not driven by mere jealousy, but orchestrating a larger plot, peddling synthetic suppressants on dark web shifter sites to poison Noah's pack, weakening them for a takeover. It's him, Lily whispered, eyes wide with betrayal, tears streaming as the images clarified. Dane's abuse had been a tool to keep her hidden, her powers suppressed, but now they bound her psychically to Noah, their minds brushing in ways that blurred consent, his thoughts seeping into hers, desires mingling with control. He wants your throne, Noah. The suppressants, they're laced with something ancient, a curse from Nordic legends twisted into modern poison. Noah's face paled, the game-changing twist shattering his world. He'd believed Dane a simple rogue, but this revealed a conspiracy threading through pack hierarchies, exploiting vulnerable members for profit. How do you know this? He demanded, pulling back slightly, but his hands lingered on her arms, the romantic connection deepening through this shared vulnerability. Lily's voice trembled as she confessed the psychic bond. I see it. Through us. Our mate link. It's amplifying everything. Passion flared amid the revelation, their bodies pressing closer, lips meeting in a desperate kiss that tasted of salt and fire, her Omega instincts yielding yet asserting as the curse empowered her. But doubt crept in. Had Noah known? The visions hinted at his own secrets, challenging her trust. Everything she'd believed about her weakness, his protection, flipped. She was no longer prey. She was a force, but tied to him in intoxicating danger. The stakes soared to their highest. Dane's plot threatened pack civil war, and Lily's awakening made her a target, her seer powers a weapon both sides craved. Determination burned in her eyes as she pulled away, wiping tears. We have to stop him. But this bond, it scares me. Noah's vulnerability mirrored hers, his affliction surfacing, the fracture from suppressing his beast, now eased yet intensified by her presence. We'll face it together, he vowed, passion igniting as they embraced again, bodies entwining on the cold floor, the psychic link heightening every touch into ecstasy laced with peril. Betrayal lingered in the air, Dane's malice exposed, but hints of deeper ties flickered in her visions, shifting the story's direction toward identity crises and vengeful alliances. Emotional turmoil peaked, revelation empowering her, passion binding them, determination steeling their resolve against the rising eclipse that would test everything. The warehouse's cold floor pressed against Lily's back as the visions faded, leaving her gasping in Noah's arms, the psychic bond thrumming between them like a live wire. The moon's light filtered through cracked windows, casting elongated shadows that mirrored the fractures in their budding trust. Noah's face hovered above hers, etched with concern and a passion that had just peaked in their urgent embrace. Bodies intertwined, breaths mingling in a desperate bid for connection amid the chaos. But the revelation lingered, her seer powers exposing Dane's plot while binding her mind to Noah's, his thoughts brushing hers, flashes of his desire, his control, his hidden pain. We can use this, he whispered, lips grazing her forehead, but Lily pulled away, chest heaving with betrayal's sting. The curse from her Mesopotamian bloodline wasn't a gift. It was a chain, amplifying her senses during the approaching lunar eclipse, but blurring the lines of consent in their fated mate link. Despair crept in as insurmountable obstacles piled up. Dane's network struck back viciously. Leaked forum posts on dark web shifter sites exposed Lily's awakening, painting her as a threat to pack stability, sparking civil unrest. Allies like Ethan turned wary, his gruff voice crackling over a hidden comms device. King, she's unstable. The visions could be manipulated. Noah defended her fiercely, but the doubt seeded separation. Pack enforcers arrived at dawn, demanding Lily's isolation for safety, their eyes glowing with suspicion under the fading moon. It's for the best. Noah relented, his voice breaking as they dragged her to a secure cellar beneath the warehouse, chains clinking like accusations. The romantic connection threatened to snap. His touch lingered on her wrist, a final caress filled with unspoken love, but fear dominated. Was he protecting her or containing her power? Alone in the dim cellar, Lily confronted her deepest fears. The damp stone walls closed in, echoing Dane's abuse, years of bruises, isolation, the psychological scars that screamed she was unworthy of love. Visions assaulted her anew, glimpses of Noah's past, his orchestrated tests on Omegas to awaken powers, believing her blood could cure his affliction, the fracture from suppressing his beast inspired by Greek lycanthrope myths. He used me, she sobbed, curling into a ball, the psychic link flooding her with his guilt-ridden thoughts. Desperation clawed at her chest. The eclipse loomed, her powers surging uncontrollably, showing Dane closing in with rogue betas, armed with suppressants that could strip her abilities forever. The situation appeared hopeless. Pack civil war brewing, Noah's rule crumbling, their bond a double-edged sword that heightened intimacy yet invited control. Separation deepened the despair. Noah, barred from her cell, paced above, his alpha instincts roaring against the enforcer's orders. "Let me see her," he growled, fists slamming against the door, but Ethan's hand restrained him. "You're too close, King. Her visions say you orchestrated this." The threat to their connection peaked. Noah's deepest fear surfaced. Losing control, his beast fracturing further without her anchoring innocence. Flashes through the link showed him spiraling, memories of lost family and ancient wars, turning him into the monster he suppressed. Desperation fueled his isolation. He faked compliance, but inside, hope flickered out, the mate pull turning painful, like a wound reopening. Lily's breaking point hit in the silence. Visions of Dane's approach, his jealousy masking a twisted protection. But the abuse replayed endlessly, forcing her to face the terror of never escaping her Omega fate. "I'm alone again," she whispered, tears soaking the dirt floor, the pendant's glow mocking her. Fear consumed her. If the eclipse peaked without resolution, her powers could consume her, or worse, bind her eternally to a betrayer. The obstacles seemed unbreakable. Dane's army at the gates, pack divided, their love threatened by secrets. Hopelessness enveloped them. Separation, a chasm widening with every heartbeat. In the darkest hour, despair reigned, pushing them to the brink, where only confronting fears could spark a glimmer of reunion. The cellar's oppressive darkness wrapped around Lily like a suffocating shroud, but something shifted in the stillness, a clarity cutting through her despair like moonlight piercing storm clouds. Her breath steadied, the pendant against her chest pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat, each throb sending warmth through her veins that pushed back against the cold stone walls. The visions that had tormented her suddenly transformed, no longer chaotic fragments, but deliberate messages from her awakened bloodline. She sat up, wiping tears with trembling fingers, and closed her eyes, surrendering to the seer powers that had felt like a curse moments ago. Images flooded her mind with crystalline precision. Noah pacing above, not as manipulator but as a broken alpha whose tests weren't calculated cruelty. They were desperate searches for salvation, his fractured psyche driving him to extremes, he now regretted with soul-deep agony. She felt his emotions bleeding through their psychic link. Guilt, love, fear of becoming the monster his suppressed beast threatened. The realization struck like lightning. Noah hadn't orchestrated her abuse. He'd been searching for Omegas with latent power, hoping to find an anchor, and when he'd found her hiding in that diner, fate had intervened. His vulnerability wasn't weakness. It was the raw humanity beneath his alpha crown, and she'd been too traumatized to see it clearly until this moment of forced solitude. "I've been afraid of the wrong things," Lily whispered to the empty cellar, her voice gaining strength. The Omega who'd cowered under tables was shedding her skin, replaced by someone who understood her power wasn't just in visions but in choice. She'd chosen to stand with Noah against Dane, and now she chose to trust the bond that terrified her. Not because it was safe, but because love without risk wasn't love at all. Her mother's pendant glowed brighter, responding to her acceptance. Ancient Mesopotamian energy coursing through her as the lunar eclipse's approach amplified everything. The key to their salvation wasn't breaking the psychic link but embracing it fully, using their connection as strength rather than viewing it as violation. Above, Noah felt the shift through their bond, a sudden surge of determination from Lily that reignited hope in his chest. He stopped pacing, pressing his palm against the cellar door, whispering her name like a prayer. Lily, I feel you. The enforcers watched him warily, but Ethan stepped forward, his gruff features softening. King, her emotional signature just changed. She's stable, stronger. Noah's eyes blazed with renewed purpose. Then we get her out. Now. He'd spent hours drowning in self-loathing, convinced his affliction had poisoned their connection, but her newfound resolve sparked his own crucial realization. He couldn't heal alone. His beast wasn't an enemy to suppress, but part of him to integrate. And Lily's innocence wasn't a cure. Her strength was the mirror showing him how to accept his whole self. The cellar door burst open, Noah descending the stone steps with Ethan close behind, chains clinking as they unlocked her restraints. Lily stood on trembling legs, meeting Noah's gaze with clarity that made his breath catch. I know what you did, she said, voice steady despite the tears tracking down her cheeks. I saw your past, your search. You were desperate, not cruel. His composure cracked, dropping to his knees before her in unprecedented submission for an alpha king. I'm sorry. I should have told you everything from the start. My affliction, my fears. I thought protecting you meant hiding the darkness, but I only pushed you away. Lily's hands cupped his face, their psychic link humming with shared understanding as she pulled him to stand. We're both broken, but maybe that's why we fit. The romantic reunion ignited with fierce intensity, lips crashing together in a kiss that tasted of salt and redemption, bodies pressing close as passion reignited, no longer tainted by doubt but strengthened through vulnerability. The bond amplified every sensation, his heartbeat against hers, the warmth of his hands sliding around her waist, the primal pull of fated mates finally aligned in purpose. When they broke apart, determination blazed in both their eyes. Dane's moving tonight, Lily said, visions sharpening as the eclipse's energy built. But there's more. Something about him I couldn't see clearly before. He's connected to you, Noah, deeper than rivalry. Noah's jaw tightened, ancient pain flickering across his features. There's a reason his scent always felt familiar, like Pack, but wrong. I've suspected, but I buried it. The pieces were falling into place, their deeper understanding of each other, revealing patterns in the chaos. Lily's seer abilities weren't random. They targeted emotional truths, and right now, they screamed that Dane's hatred masked something more complex. A fractured bond between him and Noah that predated her suffering. Ethan interrupted, voice urgent. Rogue betas spotted at the eastern perimeter. Dane's making his move. Noah's alpha command reasserted, but this time with Lily beside him as equal partner, not protected asset. We face him together, he declared, intertwining his fingers with hers. The psychic link pulsed with shared courage, their combined strength greater than either possessed alone. They'd found the key to solving the central conflict, not through dominance or submission, but through unity that challenged every pack hierarchy rule. As they emerged from the warehouse into the eclipse's gathering shadow, Lily felt her powers stabilize, no longer overwhelming but focused. The pendant's glow illuminated their path toward the eastern territory where Dane waited, his army of rogues and suppressant-armed betas a visible threat, but fear no longer controlled her. Whatever happens next, she whispered to Noah, their foreheads touching in a moment of tender connection before battle. We end this cycle. No more abuse, no more hiding. His kiss was her answer, fierce, loving, and full of promise. Hope surged through them both, love cementing their resolve as they moved toward the final confrontation, ready to unveil Dane's true identity and dismantle the black market network that had preyed on the vulnerable for too long. The turning point had arrived, transforming despair into determination, separation into the deepest understanding, and two broken souls into an unstoppable force ready to reclaim their destiny under the eclipse's crimson glow. The eastern territory sprawled before them like a graveyard of forgotten pack wars, crumbling concrete structures overtaken by wild vines, rusted chain-link fences rattling in the eclipse wind. The moon hung blood-red overhead, its crimson light painting everything in ominous hues, as Lily and Noah approached with Ethan and a handful of loyal pack members flanking them. Lily's senses screamed with amplified clarity, every shadow a potential threat, the scent of rogue wolves thick in the air mixed with chemical tang of synthetic suppressants. Her pendant blazed against her chest, the Mesopotamian curse fully awakened now, visions flooding her mind in controlled streams rather than chaotic bursts. She saw Dane's position ahead, surrounded by 24 betas armed with injectors filled with power-stripping poison. Noah's hand tightened around hers, their psychic link thrumming with shared determination as they stepped into the central clearing where Dane waited. He stood atop a collapsed warehouse wall, lean frame silhouetted against the eclipse, amber eyes glowing with that familiar toxic mix of rage and something else, pain so deep it rivaled Lily's own scars. "You finally came," Dane called out, voice carrying across the desolate space. "Brought your stolen Omega to watch you fall, King?" His sneer was vicious, but Lily's seer abilities caught the tremor beneath, a fracture in his cruelty that didn't match simple jealousy. "This ends tonight, Dane," Noah declared, alpha authority reverberating through the clearing, making several rogue betas flinch. "Your black market network, the suppressants poisoning vulnerable pack members, all of it stops now." Dane laughed bitterly, leaping down with predatory grace, claws extending as his partial shift rippled across his skin. "You think you're protecting them? You're the poison, Noah. Always have been." The words struck with unexpected venom, and Lily felt Noah's confusion spike through their bond. This wasn't just about her or power. It was personal in ways that transcended pack politics. The confrontation exploded into violence. Rogue betas surged forward, and Noah's loyalists met them with snarls and clashing claws, the clearing erupting into a maelstrom of fur and fangs. But Lily's focus zeroed on Dane as he lunged directly at Noah, their bodies colliding with bone-rattling force. She moved on instinct, her awakened powers guiding her limbs with newfound strength as she intercepted one of Dane's strikes, the rune-etched dagger from Noah's loft flashing in her grip. "You want to hurt him? You go through me first," she shouted, her Omega nature transformed, no longer prey but warrior defending her mate. Dane stumbled back, genuine shock crossing his features as he took her in, no longer the cowering girl he'd brutalized. "You don't understand," he snarled, but desperation crept into his tone. "He's not who you think. He'll destroy you like he destroyed." His words cut off as Noah tackled him, pinning him against the rubble, alpha dominance flaring. "Say it," Noah roared, his own fracture showing, the beast he'd suppressed for centuries clawing at his control. "Say what you've been hiding." Lily's vision slammed into her with the force of a tidal wave, the psychic link with Noah amplifying the truth buried in both their minds. She saw it, a laboratory hidden decades ago, blending ancient alchemy with modern genetics, where Noah's bloodline had been experimented on by rogue scientists seeking to create the ultimate alpha. They'd taken Noah's DNA, spliced it with forbidden shifter genetics, and grown Dane in artificial gestation, a half-brother engineered as backup, as weapon, as spare. But the process fractured Dane's psyche, leaving him unstable, cast aside when he couldn't match Noah's pure alpha strength. The shared childhood trauma blazed in her mind. 2 boys, one legitimate heir and one lab-created shadow, ripped apart when the facility burned, each believing the other lost. "Your brothers," Lily gasped, the revelation tearing from her throat as she grabbed Noah's arm, forcing him to see through their link what she'd uncovered. "Dane is your half-brother, created from your bloodline in that lab your parents destroyed trying to protect you." The clearing seemed to freeze, even the ongoing battles pausing as her words echoed. Noah's grip on Dane loosened, his face draining of color as memories surged. The fire, the screams, the small boy he'd tried to save but thought perished in flames. "No," he whispered, but the truth was undeniable, reflected in Dane's amber eyes that mirrored his own in ways he'd refused to see. Dane thrashed free, backing away with something breaking behind his rage. "You got everything," he spat, voice cracking. "Parents who loved you, a pack, legitimacy. I got abandoned in that inferno, raised by rogues who used me as their weapon. When I found out who you were, who I was, I wanted to destroy you for the life I never had." His confession was raw agony, years of abuse, not just what he'd inflicted on Lily, but what had been inflicted on him, twisting him into this broken reflection of his brother. But her, he looked at Lily, something like regret flickering across his features. "I hurt her because I saw how you looked at her. I thought if I kept her broken, you'd never find your anchor, never become whole while I stayed fractured." The final twist defied every expectation. Dane's abuse hadn't been mindless cruelty or simple black market greed. It was warped protection born from damaged love for a brother who didn't know he existed. He'd escalated the suppressant network trying to weaken Noah's pack from within, hoping to force him off the throne, believing Noah's rule unstable because of his unhealed affliction. "I thought I was saving the pack from you," Dane admitted, dropping to his knees as the fight drained from him. rogues around them lowering weapons in confused surrender. But I became the monster instead. Lily's heart fractured at the revelation, vengeance dissolving into something more complex, reluctant understanding. She approached Dane slowly, Noah's protective growl rumbling behind her, but she touched his mind through her seer gifts, feeling the genuine remorse buried beneath layers of trauma. "You hurt me," she said, voice steady despite tears, showing him her scars both physical and psychological. "You made me believe I was nothing. That pain doesn't disappear because you had reasons." Dane flinched as if struck, unable to meet her eyes. "But I also see what broke you, and I'm choosing to forgive. Not for you, but for me, because holding on to hate makes me no different than the system that failed us both." Her forgiveness came with fierce boundaries, strength resonating in every word. "You'll dismantle your network, turn over every contact, every suppressant cache. You'll face-pack justice, but I'll advocate for rehabilitation over execution, not because you deserve mercy, but because this cycle of trauma ends with us." Noah stepped beside her, his own tears falling as he looked at the brother he'd mourned without knowing. "We'll heal together," he said, voice thick with emotion. "But you earn back trust through action, not words." Lily's right. The cycle stops here. The climax resolved not through death but redemption's painful birth. Justice served with compassion as Dane's rogues surrendered, the suppressant network exposed and dismantled by dawn. Through it all, Lily stood as the axis. Her seer powers, once a curse, now the lens revealing truth. Her strength forged from victimhood into agency that reshaped pack dynamics. Noah's vulnerability, fully exposed, became his greatest asset as he publicly acknowledged his affliction and his brother's existence, promising pack reform. As the eclipse faded into dawn's first light, Lily and Noah stood together, their bond no longer questioned but celebrated, a partnership of equals that would reshape their world. 3 months after the eclipse, the pack's central hall gleamed with transformation. Ancient stone walls now adorned with both traditional Nordic runes and newly commissioned artwork depicting Mesopotamian legends, a visual testament to the changes rippling through their world. Lily stood before the massive floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, her reflection showing a woman utterly different from the trembling Omega who'd hidden under a diner table. Her hair cascaded freely over shoulders, no longer hunched in submission, her posture radiating confidence earned through fire and forgiveness. The scars on her arms had faded to silver lines she no longer concealed, wearing them as evidence of survival rather than shame. Behind her, the pendant, that ancient relic from her mother, rested in a glass case, its purpose fulfilled, its power integrated into her very being. Noah approached from behind, his presence a familiar warmth that still sent pleasant shivers down her spine even after countless nights tangled together in their shared bed. His arms encircled her waist, chin resting on her shoulder as they gazed out at the territory they now ruled together. "Nervous?" he murmured against her ear, his breath stirring loose strands of her hair. Tonight marked the official ceremony, Lily's coronation as Luna, co-leader of the pack, the first Omega in recorded werewolf history, to claim such a position not through bloodline or traditional mating claims, but through proven strength and revolutionary vision. Terrified, Lily admitted with a soft laugh, turning in his embrace to face him. The psychic bond between them hummed contentedly, no longer an invasive force, but a chosen connection they'd learned to navigate with mutual respect and boundaries. Their relationship had evolved beyond the initial desperate attraction into something profound. Partnership built on vulnerability. Passion balanced with tenderness. Love that grew stronger through honest communication about consent and control. But the good kind of terrified. The kind that means we're changing something that matters. Noah's kiss was gentle, reverent, his blue eyes reflecting pride and adoration. "You've already changed everything," he said, gesturing to the hall being prepared below where pack members worked together, alphas, betas, and omegas collaborating without the rigid hierarchies that had once defined every interaction. The reforms they'd implemented hadn't been easy. Resistance from traditionalists had sparked heated council meetings, arguments that sometimes stretched past dawn. But Lily's seer abilities, now honed and controlled, had proven invaluable in mediating disputes, her visions revealing emotional truths that cut through political posturing to reach compromise. The sound of footsteps announced Ethan's arrival, his gruff features softened by genuine affection as he nodded to them both. "The guests are arriving, Luna," he said, using Lily's new title with respect that had been hard-won through months of proving herself in pack challenges and diplomatic negotiations. Behind him came Ava, Lily's friend from Omega Circles, now serving as advisor on vulnerable pack member advocacy. Her fiery personality channeled into systemic reform. The council from the Northern Territories just confirmed attendance, Ava reported, excitement brightening her face. Word spreading about what you've accomplished here. Other packs are watching. Lily squeezed Noah's hand, their shared glance communicating volumes. The pressure of being symbols for change weighed heavy, but they carried it together, his strength complementing hers in ways that defied traditional alpha-omega dynamics. Let them watch, Lily said with newfound authority. We'll show them that power doesn't require domination, that healing is possible even after profound trauma. Her words reflected the personal growth she'd undergone, therapy sessions with a pack counselor who specialized in abuse recovery, support groups she'd organized for other Omegas, escaping toxic situations, the daily practice of setting boundaries and honoring her own needs alongside their partnership. Movement at the hall's entrance drew their attention. Dane, escorted by 2 guards but no longer in chains. His rehabilitation had been controversial, many calling for his execution or permanent exile. But Lily had stood firm in her advocacy for restorative justice. He'd spent these months dismantling his black market network from the inside, providing intelligence that freed dozens of vulnerable shifters from exploitation, working manual labor to rebuild structures his rogues had damaged. The haunted look in his amber eyes had softened incrementally, therapy and Noah's careful, boundaried reconnection offering glimpses of the brother he might have been without lab-created trauma. I wanted to thank you, Dane said quietly, approaching with deference that would have seemed impossible during his days of brutal control. Before the ceremony, for seeing past the monster. His gaze flickered to Lily, remorse etched in every line of his face. I can never undo what I did to you. The pain, the fear, it lives in me now, understanding what I inflicted. But you gave me a chance to be more than my worst actions, and I'm trying to honor that. Lily's response was measured, her forgiveness ongoing rather than complete. A process, not a destination. You're doing the work, she acknowledged. That matters. But trust is earned slowly, Dane. Keep proving yourself, keep healing, and maybe someday the scales will balance. She wouldn't minimize her trauma to ease his guilt, wouldn't sacrifice her boundaries to facilitate his redemption. This was the fierce compassion she'd learned, accountability with humanity, consequences with possibility. Noah clasped his half-brother's shoulder, their fractured bond mending through patient effort. We're family, he said simply. That doesn't erase the past, but it shapes how we build the future. The moment held weight, 3 people irrevocably changed by violence and revelation, choosing repair over destruction, modeling the transformative justice their pack desperately needed. As evening descended and the ceremony began, the hall filled with hundreds of pack members and visiting dignitaries. Lily walked the central aisle in flowing silver robes that caught the candlelight, traditional Omega white transformed into gleaming armor of a new age. Whispers followed her, awe, skepticism, hope mingling in the charged atmosphere. When she reached the dais where Noah waited, their joining wasn't the submissive ritual of old customs, but a mutual exchange of vows before the assembled pack. I claim leadership not through domination but through service, Lily declared, her voice carrying with supernatural clarity, seer powers amplifying her words into every heart. I've walked the path of the powerless, known the terror of abuse, felt the weight of hierarchies that crush rather than uplift. Never again will Omegas in this pack suffer in silence. Never again will strength be measured solely by alpha blood. We rise together, or we fall apart. The crowd erupted, some in approval, others grudging acceptance, but all recognizing the irrevocable shift. Noah's coronation speech complemented hers, his vulnerability on full display as he spoke of his affliction, the centuries of suppressing his beast that had nearly destroyed him until Lily's love, and her demand that he integrate all parts of himself, had offered true healing. She saved me, he said, turning to face her with emotion raw in his eyes, not by being weak enough to dominate, but by being strong enough to challenge me. This is partnership. This is the future. The ritual concluded with them placing matching crowns on each other's heads, the symbolism unmistakable, co-rulers, equals in every sense, their bond the foundation of a transformed pack. When they kissed, the psychic link flared with joy that rippled outward, touching every shifter present with the promise of what love could build when freed from toxic hierarchies. The celebration that followed lasted until dawn, music and laughter filling spaces that had known too much pain. Lily danced with Noah under fairy lights strung between ancient columns, their bodies moving in perfect synchronization, passion and tenderness intertwined. She caught glimpses of pack members embracing the changes, Omegas speaking freely in council discussions, Betas forming mentorship programs, Alphas learning that true leadership meant listening rather than commanding. In a quiet moment on the hall's balcony, watching the sun rise over their city, where humans remained ignorant of the supernatural transformation occurring in their midst, Lily reflected on her journey. From hiding under tables to standing as Luna, from victim to victor, from isolation to profound love, every scar, every tear, every moment of terror had forged her into this. "We did it," she whispered, leaning into Noah's embrace. "You did it," he corrected, kissing her temple. "You had the courage to believe in better when everything said it was impossible. You turned trauma into transformation, and now you're giving others that same hope." His words settled into her bones, affirmation of growth that felt complete yet still unfolding. As the new day broke, Lily knew their story was just beginning. Challenges awaited, resistance would resurface, healing would demand ongoing effort, but they'd proven something essential. True strength lay in embracing shadows rather than fleeing them, in vulnerability rather than armor, in love that honored autonomy while celebrating connection. The ancient myths had spoken of Omega Queens rising from ashes through blood oaths, and Lily had fulfilled that prophecy not through violence but through revolutionary compassion. She was no longer the Virgin Omega hiding from her abusive Beta. She was Luna Lily, co-ruler, seer, survivor, and beacon for every wolf who dreamed of a world where hierarchies served rather than crushed, where fated mates meant partnership not possession, where redemption was possible for those willing to do the brutal work of change. Under that sunrise, with Noah's heartbeat syncing with hers and their pack waking to new possibilities, Lily embraced her complete, powerful, beautifully scarred self and found peace in the promise of all the tomorrows they would build together, one revolutionary choice at a time. Thank you so much for joining me on Lily and Noah's incredible journey, from hiding under diner tables to reigning as revolutionary co-leaders who shattered every werewolf hierarchy rule. This story proves that true power isn't about domination but about healing, that Omegas can rise to claim thrones through courage rather than just bloodlines, and that even the deepest trauma can transform into strength when we choose love and accountability over cycles of abuse. If this tale of forbidden mates, ancient curses, and redemptive justice made your heart race and your soul soar, please hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me which moment impacted you most. Was it Lily's fierce forgiveness, Noah's vulnerable confession, or Dane's shocking revelation as the engineered half-brother? Your engagement fuels these stories, and I have so many more werewolf romance epics waiting to sweep you into worlds where passion meets destiny under the full moon. Until next time, my beautiful pack, keep howling for the love stories that remind us we're all capable of rising from our ashes.